Thank you.
Great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna just talk about first on our agenda. I did put it into the chat if you need to access that. There's a link to the agenda there. We're gonna go through some legislative updates that we have from around the state. So we have an update on a bill that's being introduced. So Senator Sanders plans to reintroduce the Universal School Meals Program Act next week, which it may have happened already at this point. So that's alongside a companion bill led by Representative Omar in Minnesota. And we hope that a lot of people choose to sign on to that. There is a link in the agenda under legislative updates that you can sign on to endorsing that bill. I would also encourage folks to contact their representatives directly and tell them that they support the bill. So just a brief synopsis of that. That bill would provide free breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack to every student in public school, regardless of their income. And this is a federal bill, of course, if I didn't mention that detail before. It would increase the reimbursement rate for school meals. It would provide additional incentives for local food procurement. It would reimburse schools for all delinquent school meal debt. It would provide summer meals to all children and increase Sunbucks or summer EBT to lower income children. It would strengthen and expand the Child and Adult Care Food Program, otherwise known as CACFP. And it also amends other laws referring to free and reduced price lunch. So I encourage you to take a look at that and sign on and share with your representatives your support of that. So moving into, well, let me pause there. Let me see if there's any questions. Any questions about that before we move on? Okay, great. So moving on to coalition and campaign strategy plan updates. So just some things that the leadership team and the coalition has been working on since we've last talked. Allison and the leadership team worked with Professor Erica Turner of UW-Madison and her students to help build additional, more robust tools and resources for the coalition. So we're working on kind of refining those and we'll share those out as time goes on. So that was really exciting that students are getting involved and helping us share the word. Additionally, there was a Badgers for Good design-a-thon, also held by UW-Madison students. And so what they did was review and improve our Healthy School Meals for All Coalition webpage and resources so that it's more user-friendly. We have not put those into action yet, but they provided a lot of great feedback for us. And their presentation won the Most Promising Solution Concept Award for the day. So that was exciting. And then, as you've seen on our email blasts, we are officially with fiscal sponsorship with Embolden, Wisconsin, which is very exciting. That's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us and help us to just create a stronger coalition in general. So we're very excited about that. We've already started off with a bang and have a lot of opportunities that we're going to apply to for grant funding and more there. So, like I just mentioned, the coalition has applied for one large grant through the Newman's Own Foundation. So that's been submitted. And there are lots of other opportunities on the horizon to continue to help support this coalition and all of our advocacy efforts. Another fun thing that the coalition is working on is a videographer. Laura Lynn has donated her time. She is a local videographer in the southeast Wisconsin area. And so she is working with Healthy School Meals for All to create essentially a video to market Healthy School Meals for All and school meals in whatever capacity we want to promote that in. So she's been in and out of my schools in particular, but she'll be working with other school districts to get some video footage of serving lunch and other fun things that we do in our school. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. I will pause there. Anybody have any questions so far on that? All right. I'll just keep rolling then. Some other updates from around the state. School Nutrition Director David Montag, who is an SNA Wisconsin member, and he is the Nutrition Director in Middleton Cross Plains in Wisconsin, recently hosted Representative Jors. And Representative Jors has expressed interest in being a leader to advocate for healthy school meals for all in the next legislative session. So that was nice to see that David was willing to host and kind of show him his operation. We got some really great pictures of representatives serving lunch to kids. So those are always great pictures. SNA Wisconsin has also wrapped up their 2026 advocacy webinar series. So if you're interested in watching those, it's a great four video series covering topics like Advocacy 101. Thanks to Nathan, who's on the call, for doing that for us. We also cover USDA hot topics. We discuss SNAP and healthy school meals for all. And we also have a video from learning from Colorado's success and continued challenges with their Healthy School Meals for All campaign. So lots of great content there. I linked that in the agenda as well. So I appreciate everybody who has taken time to work on those and to provide their expertise on those videos. With that, I am going to turn it over to Jackie to introduce our first speaker, Sarah Ann Walker. And if you guys have any questions that pop up along the way, feel free to pop those in the chat and we'll monitor that as we go along. So, Jackie?
Awesome. Thanks, Caitlin. Lots of good things happening throughout the state, which is really exciting in this space. I am so happy to introduce Sarah Ann Walker. When you hear her talk, you'll hear wonderful Tennessee accent, so you'll recognize that she is not from Wisconsin. And so we are super happy to have someone who is really passionate about food insecurity and from the YMCA, which is a wonderful partner to so many of us throughout the state of Wisconsin. So I'll read her bio because she is really interesting. She is the Senior Director of Camp and Feeding at the Greater Kingsport Family YMCA. Her key leadership role is in addressing childhood hunger across Northeast Tennessee. Through her work, she helps oversee a feeding program that provides nutritious USDA compliant meals to hundreds of children each day in after school sites and underserved neighborhoods, ensuring that many youth receive consistent, healthy food they might otherwise go without. Her experience reflects a deep commitment to community impact. Sarah Ann has a BS in marketing from Millikan University and has served as a camp director at the Greater Kingsport Family YMCA for 30 years. So we are so happy that you're here with us. This is a wonderful group. So Sarah Ann, I will have you go ahead and start sharing your slides and you can take it away. The slides are up. You're
Ah,
good.
all right. And I have unmuted myself. So, well, thank you all for having me. So, I do have a little bit of a Tennessee accent, and I am kind of a little bit of a goofball, just to go ahead and get that out there. I have run our day camp programs here at the Y for 30 years. And so, about 2.5 years ago, I got to take over our feeding program here at the Kingsport Y, and I was thinking, boy, they must be really desperate or lost their minds. One, but kids and feeding go hand in hand, and having fun with kids while they feed, that is also just great. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about kind of what we do here in Kingsport. We do a lot of stuff with our school systems. They are what makes what we do possible. And just if you have questions or anything along the way, I don't have the chat pulled up, but you can come off mute and interrupt me because I do work with children and a lot of college kids, so I'm used to that. So it'll be great. So we do here at the Y, we do CACFP and SFSP. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both of those. So hopefully that is okay. I am going to talk about our summer programs because I know we're getting ready to launch summer, but I also think that there is so much that you can do during the school year through that partnership with your school systems and with the YMCA's or other community organizations that do happen to have. I have to remember to move the slides, so that's great. So we do know that at the Y, I don't know how familiar you all are with WISE, but our mission is to strengthen our community through lots and lots of different ways. And so one of the ways that RY has really kind of bought in and gone all in is in making sure that children have direct access to nutritious meals. And we all know that food insecurity does not end just because those kids go home at 3 o'clock or just because they happen to be out of school, for a holiday or for a teacher in service day or Christmas break or even on those weekends. And so there are many children. I know in the community that I serve, and I'm sure in the communities that you all serve, that the meals that we give them are their most reliable ones that they get each and every day. And so that is why the work that we do matters so much. So our program, a little bit about it, we do have 22 after school sites at RY. And so we do feed those a 5 component hot meal each afternoon that we prepare in one of our 2 kitchens. We have 11 outreach sites. Those are all located in Section 8 housing complexes. So we have feeding mentors that go out each afternoon and they engage with the kids, play with them, get to know them, and they feed them that same meal. And then we do feed 2 local YMCAs as well. All of our meals, of course, are hit those USDA guidelines. But what we realized is in doing that, it is fantastic, but there's a lot of other kids that kind of fall through the cracks and need a little bit of extra help. And so we began to look into how could we expand beyond just those kids that are coming to us and then even the kids that we are going to in those communities. And so that's kind of where our partnership with the schools really did come in. Our after school sites are located at the schools, as are, when we talk about summer, our camp locations as well. We all know why this work matters so much. Kids that are hungry, they do not focus as well. They do not perform as well. They do not behave as well, whether it's at home or at school. And so they are a lot more confident, a lot happier, and a warm meal gives them the ability to become so much more than what they ever dreamed that they could be. And that's what we all get to do every day. So our city is kind of crazy because it's not that it's that large, but we do have 3 different school systems in our area. So we have Hawkins County, we have Sullivan County, and then we have Kingsport City. So they all work very, very similar, and we have really, really strong partnerships with each of those. So our first one to talk about is our Hawkins County school system. We do have 8 after school sites there. We also have a kitchen that is located right in that community. I just put up on the screen just a few little details just so you can get a feel for how that community works. They do have a food insecurity rate of 18.2%. They are not in the highest section of that, but they are in the one that falls right below on that. So they are very, very needy in that. So what we get to do with our Hawkins County, obviously we feed our after school sites, but we have 3 schools that we went and talked to the principals at, and they, in conjunction with us, decided that they had students at their schools that were not in our after school programs because they had to ride the bus home, because even though our after school programs are free, they wouldn't have had a way to get home from those programs. And so we talked with them and realized that when a lot of those went home, they were not getting another meal until they came back to school the next day. So we took 3 of these schools and decided that we were going to max out our contract numbers with CACFP, and we were going to send 40 extra meals to each of those schools each afternoon. So the principals and the teachers all got together and they picked out 40 kids that needed this meal. And while those kids were waiting to get on the bus to go home each afternoon, those teachers and our YMCA staff worked together to feed that meal to those kiddos before they got on the bus and were able to go home. We have been doing that since the beginning of November, and it has worked fantastically. It has actually worked so well that the director of schools, who happens to be on our board at the YMCA and kind of knows what we do, he came to us and they have this little tiny school that's a kindergarten through 12th grade school. It has 164 students at it. And last Friday, we got to make that hour drive up. I call it the side of Mount Crumpet because it's in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing there. There's no stores, nothing. And he said, what if you fixed 164 meals and you fed every single one of our students during the last period of the day at school starting next August? And our bus drivers will load your coolers and warming bags onto our buses and they will deliver it each afternoon so you don't even have to make that drive. And so we went and met with them last week, and wow, the principal, the teachers, they were all so excited about it because they realized and they were able to see the need. And so we have a great partnership there. The school district works very well in coordinating how many we need and which kids and all of that good stuff with it. Then we have our Sullivan County and Kingsport City schools. So they fall right into kind of that same category as Hawkins County does. We have an additional 16 sites between those two school districts that we do feed in after school. We are currently in Sullivan County. They have heard what we do in Hawkins County. And so they have asked us to roll this model out in every single one of their schools that we are in starting in the fall, where they are able to identify kids that are going to go home and are not going to get that evening meal. And we are going to work with them to get that there before school ends, to get it in the classroom so that those kids can have those meals. And we are hopeful to be able to do all 8 of those schools that they are asking. Capacity does get to be a little bit fun. But we do work hand in hand with the staff at those schools to do that. How that works, just a little bit. We have a form that the school systems have started using. They do send it home, and the parents do sign whether they would like for their child to receive that meal or not. That way the parents know that the kids did get that meal. Takes a little bit of a burden off of them, we think. And then it just makes that partnership work so much better and becomes so much stronger because you're partnering with the school, but you are also partnering with the people that actually, live in that community, knowing that we are going to serve those kids. We are in one Kingsport City school currently. We send 60 extra meals there an afternoon. And the school 100%, our staff do not touch that food. The principal actually comes down each afternoon with a set of her staff, and they hand out and sit and feed those kids each afternoon. And I'm going to share at the very end a story about that school is Kennedy, and I'm going to share a story about one of those Kennedy kiddos. So summer food service, we do a lot with that. We partner with all 3 of the school systems with that as well. With the CACFP, I don't know how familiar you all are with that, but the breakfast and lunch that you all serve during the day, because it is with the National School Lunch Program, we are able to serve a 5-component supper meal with that because it is 2 different programs. And so it does allow for us to do that. And that was something when I first took over this program that we did not realize that we could do. And so that kind of enabled us to change the way that we served. And as the schools have found that out, it has kind of sent off lights in their eyes on how they could better serve their kids as well. Um, so a little bit about SFSP. So we do look forward to the summer for a lot of reasons. We don't have to sit at a desk and all that good stuff, but we work very closely with our school systems during the summer. It's very important that we work together with them and we are not duplicating services so that we can spread our reach farther and be sure that we are being able to get to all of the kids that we need to. So none of the school systems in our area go on the SFSP. They stay. You guys are probably more familiar with that than me because their rules are a little bit easier on menu items and swapping things, and they have a little bit more flexibility. So they choose to not go the SFSP route, which ends up working great as we partner. So what we do, we have 4 camp locations. We do feed 2 of those 4. During the month of June, Kingsport City School System actually feeds 2 of my camp locations because they have always fed them. And so again, we are in a partnership. So even though I could very easily feed my camp kids, it is very important that we can, you work on building those relationships. And so because they do it and they do it well, and they have always done it for us, and we have a great relationship, we let them continue to do that. And we do breathe a little bit easier in the month of June on that. And then we feed 2 of our campsites. But what we found is during the summer, we can feed a 2 component snack to all of the sites that they are feeding. So we have started partnering with Kingsport City on that so that they provide the breakfast and lunch, and then we come alongside of them and we drop off at all of their locations those 2 component snacks so that we can do that. Works the same way in Hawkins County and in Sullivan County. We are at 1 camp location. We do feed it as well. We are partnering with the school systems this summer in their bulk feeding. So RY has never done non-congregate feeding before. So I'm a little bit terrified, but we are doing it this summer. So Hawkins County came to us. They end their feeding at the very end of June. And those kids in Hawkins County need the food. And so they have 2 non-congregate sites that they run. So we are going to pick up at their schools, and we are going to do the exact same day, the exact same time. They are going to advertise for us. They're going to hand out flyers. They're going to communicate with every single parent that comes through that we're still going to be there the next week. And so we are picking up their summer feeding when they end. And so that's a great way to look at partnerships because a lot of school systems, they only feed through the end of June. And so that is good for school staff because they do need a break. But what about those kids and those families that have grown to depend on us? And Kingsport City is also for the first time ever doing 1 non-congregate location. It happens to be at one of my camp locations. So we're going to pick them up in July as well. To kind of just continue that partnership. And then we also pick up all of Kingsport City's feeding sites in July as well, that when they end, so that those kids are not having to pack. We don't want to add any extra stress to parents. We also don't want those kids worried about what they're going to have to eat the next day. Today I had a lot of fun this morning. I got to drive about 50 minutes up the road because part of non-congregate is you have to have storage space for all these boxes, right? We don't have a loading dock at the Y. We don't have a forklift. I do have a couple box trucks and I do have a pallet jack and I got a lot of manpower. And so we went up to Cherokee High School because Hawkins County knew that if we were going to help them, they were going to need to help us. And so they have a huge CTE building and a forklift. And they've got some guys that run this that are going to show up once a week and run a forklift for us. And they're going to let us store 26 pallets every couple weeks in their space. And so those are some fresh pictures just taken this morning from this group of guys that are so excited because they never thought anybody would call on the CTE team, to come in and help with feeding kids during the summer. And so the smiles on their faces and just how proud they were that they were being called to partner with and to fill a need was just amazing. And so, those relationships between the schools and YMCA's and other community organizations, it is not something that happens overnight. It is something that does take months, really years, to build, and they are very, very simple to build, because when we tell somebody that we're going to do something, we do it. We show up and we provide what we say that we're going to provide, and then they do the same for us, and so that builds that trust. And at the end of the day, what I've really found is that the school systems, from the custodians to the cafeteria workers to the teachers' aides to the teachers to the assistant principals, the principals, all of them, all of the nutrition staff, all of them share one very, very important thing in common with me and all of the people that I get to work with here at the Y. We are all passionate about children, and we are passionate about making sure that they are fed and that we are giving them every tool that we possibly can to help them to be their best version of themselves every single day. And so what I've found is when you go to a superintendent of a school or the school director or a principal and you tell them what you're wanting to do and they know that it is going to serve their kids, they are all in. And whatever you ask, whether it's running a forklift, giving up tons of space during the summer, busing food an hour up a mountain, they will do it because they love those kids just like we do. And so that is really those simple acts that kind of help to build those relationships. We'll also have meetings throughout the year where we will go to them and ask them, what could we do? Where are your gaps that we could help fill, even if it's not with feeding? And then, it kind of becomes a thing that we are able to go back and forth with on that. We do occasionally receive pushback. Sometimes people don't understand why parents can't feed their kids themselves. We'll get asked that, when we're fundraising or talking to legislatures or anything like that. But kids don't have a choice in what home they happen to live in. And so our job is to feed those kids and not ask questions and just to love on them and make sure they have what they need. And so usually when you're able to share that with them, they kind of come around and see it your way. Sometimes we need to put our coolers at different places at the schools or things like that. And again, that's all part of that partnership and being able to work together. My favorite story, when you talk about program impact. So we're talking about Kennedy Elementary. So it is in a very drug-ridden neighborhood in our town, and we feed 110 kids there an afternoon. We do have an after-school site there, one of my favorite sites that we have. So there was a little boy he was in class. It was the week of Thanksgiving, and the teacher asked them to draw or to write the thing that they were most thankful for on that Thanksgiving. So this little boy, he wrote the why. Well, the teacher was kind of baffled because he doesn't go to our after school program. So she was like, why would the why be the thing you are most thankful for? And so she asked him that, and he looked at her and he said, because they feed me every single day. And he said, I haven't been having supper. And he said, but now I get supper every single day because they send me food. So I am the most thankful for them. His mother had passed away. This was in November. His mother had passed away that August, and it was just him and his dad. And so the dad had just really been struggling. And so on days that we wonder, what is our why, and why do we try to do everything that we do, and why do we try so hard to feed 1,500 hot meals a day? It is because of kids like this little guy, because they count on us for meals. And so anything you can do to partner with other organizations, I wholeheartedly recommend it. Go for it, because together we can fight hunger so much more than we can alone. I may have gone over on time, but I didn't go through all of my slides there, some of our kids, but I don't know if there's time, if anybody happens to have any questions or anything like that, but I'd be happy to answer any you have.
Yeah, we've got some time. Anybody have any questions for Sarah Ann? Thank you so much, Sarah Ann. That's great.
You,
Great
you
information.
are welcome. Hopefully, maybe you'll have at least one takeaway that you can you can do and incorporate into your all's programs or
Yeah. Anita, did
um,
I see you come off of mute? Do you have a
Yes, you
question or comment?
did. I mean, just listening to her, that was just so amazing. And that's just what I talk about. A lot of our kids depend on that breakfast and lunch. And she's just doing an extra mile to make sure that they even take it home. And that was one of my questions too here at MPS. With that other food that they have available, why can't they give it to the kids to take home?
So the fun thing with the CACFP and even the SFSP, when you look at those, what they call the congregate meals, they
Mhm.
have it that it has to be eaten on site. I have never had somebody come right out and tell me the exact reason why that
Mhm.
because everybody kind of, they always dodge it. The reason I think it is twofold. We do like, fresh milk is one of the components that we send.
Mhm.
We do send hot meals, so we send spaghetti and meatballs, fettuccine, all that good stuff. And so from the time it's pulled from our warmers, we have 4 hours according to our health department, that those kiddos can eat that food. And so I have often wondered if it's just a safety thing, that if these kids took this food home and they left the milk sitting in their backpack for, 3 days and then they drink it and get sick and then they, come after us. I also think it might be because the meals are only for you have to be 18 or under or disabled in order for us to give the meal. So I also wonder if it's a thing to ensure that the child is actually getting to eat the meal. Because, a lot of those parents are hungry too.
Right.
And so we do, on that bus, I'm going to be honest, they will start eating the food before they leave us. But sometimes when the bus gets there, they have to get on it. And so sometimes that food is leaving with them, and they did not get to finish that whole meal. And we don't make them throw it away. We obviously let them take it on with them, but we do try to start getting some of that food into before they get on that bus ride,
Wow.
and
Also, I
things.
heard you talk about advertisement. What sort of advertisement are you doing to promote these programs and stuff?
Yeah, so we do have I actually have sitting at my desk. So these are A-frame signs that
Mhm.
we have that we take out to a lot of our sites that they just say, the child has to be present. The name of our program is Our Food for All. So we will have these out at a lot of our sites and a lot of our schools because all of ours are open sites. We have a place down at the bottom, and so we Velcro on here that will tell what time our meals are being served. That way, so we do have these. We also utilize yard signs that will look a lot like these, but they'll have, this same. We always make sure the child has to be present and they have to be under 18. So we'll utilize yard signs. We do a lot with some flyers. We sometimes will put QR codes on them they can scan and it'll take them to our website that has every single site that we are at listed on. This summer, we are currently working on our non-congregate marketing because, again, we're terrified and it's new to us, but we do know it's a need. And so we know we need to do it. We're very excited about it. But we will have yard signs that say the times that we're going to be on that are branded with our Food for All, and it has a little bit different verbiage on it. I don't have those in yet, or I would show you one of those.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things that another Y does, it's a Y out of Wilmington, North Carolina. They have keychains that have their vehicles on them, and on the back of it is a QR code. So they give these to each parent as they start serving them. And this QR code constantly updates. And so it tells them exactly where all of their non congregate sites are and things like that. So I'm hoping at some point in the future to be able to invest in some of these. I thought that was a really unique idea. And then just we'll put some social media posts up, some fun little reels and things to get people to watch them. But that's kind of the marketing type that we do.
Wow. That's
Well, thank you
amazing.
so much, Sarah Ann. I appreciate it. And we're going to segue to our next speaker so we have enough time. But if you do have more questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. And maybe we can answer some of those there. So I'm going to next welcome Amy Colano. While it says you have two Caitlin Harrisons on your screen, you actually have one Caitlin Harrison and one Amy Colano. And Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. And she actually, Sarah Ann, might be able to answer some of those questions about not taking food off site. Amy Colano is the Summer Food Service Program Coordinator for the state of Wisconsin. And she comes with 32 years of experience at the Department of Public Instruction. Amy has dedicated her career to expanding and managing summer meal programs and ensuring statewide access to healthy meals for children year round. And I can personally attest to that because in my previous school district, Amy was the one who kind of bugged me and said, "Hey, did you know you qualified for SFSP?" And so she was the reason why we kind of got that up and running off the ground. So, Amy, I see your slides are up on the screen. I'm going to turn it
Great.
over to you. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Um, and I'm sorry I have to go after Sarah, and you did such a wonderful job and you're so inspiring. Yeah, that's incredible. So thank you for sharing all of that. So really what I'm here to do today is provide a little bit of a PSA for summer meals and getting the word out about summer meals throughout Wisconsin. Um, The USDA programs that support the summer nutrition for children in the summer is the Summer Food Service Program and the Seamless Summer Program. Underneath both of those programs, we have the Rural Non-Congregate Meal Program, which Sarah Ann did talk about a little bit. And then we also have the Summer EBT program. So those three programs kind of work in partnership to ensure that children have access to nutritious meals throughout the summer. The Department of Public Instruction is the one that administers the Summer Food Service Program and the Seamless Summer Option, as well as the Rural Non-Congregate Program. And then the Department of Health and Services is the one in Wisconsin that administers the summer EBT. So this summer EBT, this summer, families that qualify will receive $120 each for their children in the household, and so they will receive $40 in June, July, and August. And as far as the summer food service program goes, we're anticipating having probably between 260, 270 sponsors throughout the state. We're still getting applications in for the program as we speak. This time of year is really, really busy for us, trying to get everyone on board and ready to operate for the summer. We have Probably we'll have around 1,000 sites or locations throughout the state that will be providing summer meals. And they're at all different kinds of different types of sites. A lot of them are summer schools, but we do have summer camps, enrichment programs, vacation Bible schools, boys and girls clubs, YMCAs, and parks, and just lots of different locations that are serving children during the summer months. So we're looking forward to a really good summer, serving more meals than last summer. I'm pretty certain. Last summer we served 3.3 million meals in Wisconsin under these programs, and 24% of those meals were under the what we call Summer Meals to Go, the Rural Non-Congregate Program. And so far this year, I think we have like 18 new locations that will be offering the Rural Non-Congregate Program. So yes, what I wanted to talk to you about is how can we get the word out there, and because the only way that families can take advantage of these programs is if they know about it. The Summer Food Service Program sponsors do have a requirement to do outreach, and this is called notification to the community. To assist in this process, DPI does release a media release in May, which notifies the public of all the open meal site locations within the state. Then sponsors who are closed enrolled or camps are required to let the participants know that they are offering free meals to them. Sponsors themselves, at a minimum, must provide signage at their location, which indicates their dates of operation and the times of meal service. So that's a minimum. But in an effort to assist them with promoting summer meals, DPI does provide our sponsors with a variety of free materials that they can order from us. So we have a large supply of business cards, door hangers, posters, window clings, and even flutter flags that the pickup sites can use to kind of promote their program. Um, we also encourage, our sponsors to do outreach via their website and social media. That, of course, is something that everybody has access to these days, it seems. And then also, we ask that our sponsors notify 211 Wisconsin of their open sites. So families can also call 211 for local resources. At DPI, we also get additional funding from USDA to support some of our efforts in outreach. So this year, actually, the last probably 5 years or so, we've been doing bus ads in some communities. So we wrap buses with the summer food information. We usually have the texting number on there and a QR code for people to use to get to the summer site finder site. And we're also doing social media ads this year too. So those are going to be starting at the end of June or end of May. So if you happen to see them in your social media feeds, feel free to share those with your friends. Now, other schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program are required, and if they don't participate in the summer meal program, they still are required to do outreach for the programs. So they can really utilize a lot of the same methods for letting families know about the program and the summer EBT program. Directing families to our Find a Summer Meals webpage provides a variety of sources of information about where they can find meals, and that's the screen that's displayed on the slide. There is our Find a Summer Meal site page. So in addition to this, you can consider printed materials like distributing flyers or printing information on the back of menus that go home towards the end of the school year, like in May and June. So families know where they can go to get meals in your community or surrounding communities. Also, digital notifications like posting things on your website, sending out emails, even scheduling automated text messages and phone calls work to promote the program. And many communities, I see summer meal information posted on electronic reader boards or on school message marquees. So that's another good way to let people know about the program, even if your school may not be the one that is actually participating, so that all its family knows where it's all happening. And then finally, I just wanted to kind of join the SFSP page. I really encourage everyone to get involved, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir with this group, but advocating for summer nutrition by contacting your local legislators to support the expansion of summer EBT and summer food service program. Just getting involved if you're not actually participating in the program as a sponsor, serving as a volunteer. All our sponsors, especially those that participate in the rural non-congregate programs, have a lot of work to do. It takes a lot of effort to do that program, and they can always utilize volunteers to help serve meals, organize activities at sites, and even just distribute outreach materials. And then, of course, if you are in an eligible area and your organization is interested in providing summer meals, you can contact me to become an actual sponsor of the program and provide free meals to children in your community. that is what I had. So that's my PSA for today. Um, Feel free to, ask any questions.
Great. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
Curious, could you share, is it that summer meal site finder that you shared? If a school district or a site was trying to figure out if they qualified for SFSP, is that where you would refer them to, or is there a different location that you would send
Oh,
them
yeah.
to?
So let's see here. Let me just bring up my screen. So, summer food program or organizations can participate in the summer food program if they're located within an area that is considered eligible, either based on free and reduced price data or census data. So we do have on the DPI website, we post the free and reduced data. We typically use October of each year. We don't have October posted on our website yet because it hasn't passed clearance, but we are using it for the to qualify as sites for the summer. And then the other one is the let's see here, capacity builder. This is a USDA website that if you put in a an address and also click on this little layer here, it will show you areas that qualify based on census data. So we do have quite a few sponsors in Wisconsin that don't meet the free and reduced requirement, but are located within a census area that qualifies. So it is helpful to take a look at this map. And when I do outreach to agencies that potentially qualify each year, I try to scan the map. Unfortunately, there's not a real good way of looking at it other than just taking a deep dive. But I do that. And if I can find areas that qualify and we don't have sponsors in those areas, I will reach out to organizations in that area and let them know about the program.
Awesome.
So that is how you can find out if you would potentially qualify. Let's see here. On our website, this is the Find a Summer Meals site page that I was talking about. And we will be listing all of our 2026 sponsors on the site as soon as we are finished doing proving all the contracts. And we have a link here to the Summer Meals Site Finder. And this is operated by USDA, and it says 2026 Site Finder coming soon. We actually just provided data to USDA last week based on the contracts that we have approved so far. So every week this Site Finder will show up. It will give the locations of where it's an open site and it's open to all children 18 and under to come in and get a meal. And then it also will display the non-congregate sites. And then we provide a sponsor information so the families can contact the sponsor directly, because what goes into the map is what we have in the contract, and sometimes it might be a little bit different, hopefully not too much, but many of the non-congregate programs, families actually have to sign up for that because there's a verification process for that program. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's a great way to find out where meals are. And the texting number, when you text the number and put in your location, it will give you the top 10 closest sites to you.
Nice.
So,
Great.
Anita,
Anita,
did
did
you
you
have
have
a
a
question?
question?
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
I
Oh, you're
did.
fine.
I had a question. Caitlin, that's amazing. But now that the food stamps, families are now having to do the review. Some families are not doing the review, for the food stamps. So do that mean that the child can go to these free summer meal sites and get food?
Yes, yes. If it's an open site, any child 18 and under can come to the open site to get a free meal. There isn't any verification of income or anything like that. We don't care where they come from, if
Mhm.
they want to come to the site to get a free meal, they can.
That's amazing. My other question too, I ain't gonna hold y'all up because
Okay.
you were going back and forth on the website, okay? I
hmm
do remember you saying dial 211 because
hmm
me myself, I'm not really that good at the computer. I'm not tech savvy. So
Hmm.
if I'm a mother that's not tech savvy or who have access to a computer, the best way is to do the 211. Don't you
Yes.
think?
Yep. The only caveat with that is Wisconsin 211 isn't very savvy about getting site data on their site. So they have to they our sponsors have to notify Wisconsin 211 of their summer meal sites, and hopefully a lot of them do. And then when they call 211, they will tell the person where they're located, and then they can verbally tell them where their closest summer meal sites are. Um, and if you have a phone, there's that texting number too. That is very helpful. So that will just spit back to them within a text message where the closest sites are.
Also, is it a program like if I call the text that I call the 211, but I don't, and my closest site is still too far from my home? Is there something else that could help me be able to give the kids during the summertime?
And that's I think where the third prong comes in is the summer EBT.
Oh, okay.
Is,
So then you have to utilize that.
providing direct funding to the families so they're able to purchase the meals themselves. And of course, in rural areas, if they're able to participate in even get to the site once a week, say for instance, the sponsor is providing rural non-congregate meals, 7 meals at 7 days worth of meals at a time. So that would be
Right.
7 breakfasts, 7 lunches. If they're able to get to the location that they're doing the distribution from just once a week, then they would have those meals for the week. There is an option too with rural non-congregate meals for home delivery. We have just a few of our sponsors doing that because there's a lot involved in that, um, as you can imagine,
Yes.
and it can be kind of costly as well. But that is an option too. And I think a number of our school districts that participate in the program have their pickup sites once a week, but then kind of under the radar, if there's a family that can't make it there, they'll do a delivery for them.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. You answered all my questions.
Sure.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Does
Mhm.
anybody else have any questions for Amy or Sarah Ann before we start to wrap things up? Okay. Well, that's all we have today. Thank you again to Amy and Sarah Ann for offering your expertise. It was great information. Reminder to do a couple things after the call today. We'll send out the agenda again. Remember to check out the bill that we briefly talked about earlier about school meals for all nationwide. The link is in the agenda. Contact your legislators and representatives to encourage them to sign on to that. Or if nothing else, tell them to support healthy school meals for all in Wisconsin. And then, yeah, check out the summer meal site finder and figure out where you can get your kids or your community involved in participating in summer meals this summer. So, thanks again to everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Great. Thank you.